here with Georgie, and Georgie, you really do a really interesting mashup of period fashion. Tell me about the sort of periods that you're most interested in.
I like 17th century Rococo, sort of Marie Antoinette fashion. I like Victorian, Dickensian, Edwardian, the 20s, most periods in history.
So are you selling to, you're selling to goths, you're selling to steampunk, where is your clientele?
I sell to everybody from soccer moms to 12-year-olds who bring me their change collection.
And how did you get started in this?
I was a fan of glam rock in the 70s, and I like the aesthetic of it. In the 70s, a lot of reproduction clothing of old styles was in, and I was a teenager then, so I guess I was influenced by that.
Right. So you're using a combination of new material and old material in your work, right?
Yes, I start with a new jacket which I recut, and then I embellish it with a lot of trims, embroideries that some of them are quite old, some of them are even Victorian, and the hats I do from scratch. But the hats are historic styles like a tricorn like I'm wearing, or a top hat, or a 1920s beret, etc.
Great. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
So I'm here with Creepy Christine. What's your real name, Christine? It's Christine?
Christine State Gardener.
Yes, but you like Creepy Christine.
I like Creepy Christine.
Yeah. So you've got some creepy Christmas stuff here. So it's a sort of a mix between Christmas Day and the Addams Family, right?
Yes. I tend to view things with a dark sense of humor, including the holidays are not immune to this.
Right. So it's a sort of Edward Gorey kind of feel.
I have a shrine to Edward Gorey over here. He's one of my icons.
So how did you come to combine the two things?
I think everything just goes through the weird alchemy lab of my brain, and it just comes out with my take on the world.
Right. And you find a lot of people embracing the sort of mashup?
Yes. I find that it's a pretty sarcastic crowd here at the OneOfAKind Show.
And this is a pretty sarcastic mix. So you're looking at this stuff ironically, or how are you viewing it in terms of art?
I take my art, like the shadow boxes, I take those like more seriously, I guess. I'm trying to create a nice piece, but then there's the funny items like the snarky Christmas blocks and the inappropriate gift tags, and so both seem to appeal to people.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Bert VandenHeuvel, and despite what's on the walls behind you, you're actually a pig farmer, is that right?
I used to be a pig farmer, yes.
Yeah. And you learned your welding skills as a pig farmer?
Yeah, fixing stuff at the farm, always something to be made or fixed, so that's where I learned my building skills, yeah.
And you're a cyclist?
I am a cyclist.
So you put welding together with cycling, and you get what's on the walls around here. So tell me a little bit about your work.
So I collect discarded bikes and parts from scrap yards, bike shops, donations from friends and neighbors, and dismantle all the parts and create furniture, art, home decor, anything I can think of from all those random parts.
That's great. So what's your favorite pieces, do you think?
My favorite, right now, I'm really liking my lighting series. So I have a globe light, a 18-inch round globe light, I have a tripod standing light, and I hope to make some table lamps and things like that as well.
Okay, so what got you into creating this stuff?
I started it as a stress reliever from my farming days, and I wanted to work with metal, so my passion for my metalworking and my cycling came together, and started with a little pedestal table, and inspiration kept coming, and so I kept building, and now it's my full-time work.
That's great. And where do you live?
I'm in Goderich, Ontario.
So outside of Goderich?
Yeah.
Great. Gilbert, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
How are you doing?
Fine, thank you. You make really cool bags from really old cars. So tell me a little bit about your bags.
Well, they are made from car interiors mostly. So this, for example, is made from an old Porsche from the 80s, like Mercedes, old Lamborghini.
Right.
So we get the materials from restoration companies in Europe, and also from car wreckers in Ontario. So we go to the junkyards and cut out like all the seat materials of like old luxury cars, and then turn them into this.
So you use the seat belts, you use what else?
We have different collections. Like we have a collection that focuses on seat belts and the car seat materials. Then we use like the old seatbelt buckles.
Right.
As you can see here. I mean, yeah,
that's a beautiful piece.
So you have all the seat belts, you have the old buckles, and then the seat leather.
Right.
And the side piece is made from a vinyl that they use to cover trucks and trailers.
Right. And you also make wallets out of the interior leather, right?
Yes.
You got one there?
Yes, here. Okay. This is from a 1970 Mercedes 300 SEL.
Okay. So you make these stamps yourself, or?
Yeah. We engrave the history of the material into like the wallet.
Right. Okay.
So you know where your material came from.
Right. So it's nice to see you're using materials that otherwise would have been thrown away.
Yeah, and that's where we get our hands on it. No?
Yeah. Right. And where do you work out of?
Snow Road Station, which is a small like city. No, it's not even a city. It's a village on the K&P Trail north of Kingston.
Right. So that's around Sherbet Lake, that kind of area.
Yeah, 30 kilometers north of Sherbet Lake.
Great. Cool. Okay. Thank you very much, Sven.
You're welcome.
So I'm here with Amber Nice, ironically with the Cutthroat Shaving Company. So tell me a little bit about why you got into this business.
We got into this because it wasn't available. So it was going back to more that traditional way of shaving, and we found that the product wasn't readily available for the customers. And when you did find the product, it was very little choice. Yeah.
So when you say it wasn't available and the ritual, tell me a little bit about the ritual of shaving that you clearly know so much about.
I think it's guys are finally going back to taking time for themselves. So your badger brush and your soap becomes a nice ritual for you in the morning, but it does so much more than just kind of have that calming effect while you're taking that time. Your brush is going to lightly exfoliate the face, it's going to prep the whiskers and lift them for the shave, and of course make the lather. So there's a lot of functionality in going back into the traditional method of shaving.
Right, so it's very much like making your own French press coffee or AeroPress coffee in the morning, right?
That's correct,
right.
Yes.
Okay. And you, where do you get the badger?
We source those overseas, and you can find the badger knots in Asia, and you can find them in Europe. So we bring them in overseas, and then we create custom handles.
Right. Beautiful. And what else do you carry?
We carry some aftershaves, some beard oils and beard balms for the guys that don't want to shave. We also do facial lotions and serums as an aftershave balm. All of our product we do in small batches, and we make it from scratch.
And where do you hang out?
I'm in the Schomburg area, so just north of Toronto.
Cool. And are most of your clientele younger, hipsters, oldsters? What?
Surprisingly, it's a variety. So we go from the very young that just getting into shaving. The hipsters are definitely there, and the old guys that grew up with this method, they're actually quite pleased that they can find a new variety of soap.
Okay. Thank you very much, Amber.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Hey, I'm Evelyn with Nico, and we make games with wood here. So this is a solid cherry board, and many of these games are old games from different parts of the world. Many are 2x2 strategy games, and we also have games that are more of chance games and family games, just for people to enjoy games.
And how did you come to be making these worldwide games out of local wood?
So Nico is actually the owner and creator of all these games, and I think it just came from a love of games, and he's done a lot of research to learn about the games and their origins, and then they've been adapted to the boards. So I think it's been a love of woodworkmanship, and also love for games. So just a combination of the passions there.
And can you show me one of the games here that you've got?
Sure. So this is HADS. In this game, each player has 2 betting posts, and they can bet on whichever number they like. We take our top, and we use our launcher to spin around. It makes it very easy for everybody to do a top. Spin our launcher around, and we launch our top, and then we achieve some results with the marbles to
so where
win
does this
the game.
Game from originally?
Actually, this is one of the few games that's not from a different part of the world. It's from right here in Canada. This game is from Quebec because Nico has invented this game. So this is an exclusive game to Nico.
Oh, very cool. It's beautifully made. Look at all this work here. This is lovely. Yeah, I love that. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So Val, you have the biggest array of pepper mills I've ever seen in my life. How did you get into making these?
I started 20 years ago. I gave it a try. I made like 2 dozen and I sold them to a private customer. And the year after, I attended a craft show in Montreal. And at that time, I had like a little coaster, a little clock, and a range of pepper mill or a collection of pepper mill. And I ended up selling only pepper mills. So at the end of the show, I think I got the answer to my question. And from there I started, and it's been 20 years now that I've been doing that full time.
And what wood do you use for them?
Mainly, I use maple, but this year and maybe starting from last year, I should say, sorry, I introduced a new type of wood, which is burl. A burl, it's an outgrowth that grew on the side of a tree.
Right.
It's like a big pimple, if you want. But it's the wood that has the most value because of the richness and the uniqueness of the material.
And where do you come up with your design ideas? What are you basing them on?
Well, my education, I got the equivalent of a degree in woodworking. Matter of fact, I studied 3 years at Sheridan College here in Oakville, and also I got a design art degree from Concordia University in Montreal. You're buying a functional piece of art.